right, so for today we're going to be making a big over-the-top bow that's going to go in this tobacco basket project that I'm working on. So we're going to need a few supplies. So we're going to be working with our Easy Bowmaker today. We are going to have a zip tie, a chenille stem available, ready to go. We're going to use a plant stake. If you want something smaller, I also use floral picks. Then we have our cable cutters or wire cutters, our scissors, and then a variety of ribbons. So we're going to start off with this 2.5-inch green and white striped ribbon. Okay, and as I mentioned, I want a lot of tails. So the tobacco basket itself is like this big. She's a big girl. So I want something that's not going to kind of get lost in that. So I'm going to start off by making a set of tails. And let me see, they're going to be, I'm making them a couple feet long. All right, so if this is 16, math. All right, so we're going to have some 32-inch tails. All right, and so when you're just making tails, all you're doing is feeding your ribbon through the dowels and then just cutting them. Now we're going to go in to start our first loop, and we're going to continue to start off on this right side. So we're going to be putting our ribbon through the dowels, and we want to make sure that when we are putting our loops down, that the back side is facing the Bowmaker, and then when we have the loop, the pretty side is showing up. So I will show you. Easier to show than explain. All right, so again, I'm repeating. I'm going to make a tail about the same size, about 32 inches. So I'm going to slide this through the dowels. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the front side, or like the pretty side of our ribbon, it's going to be facing down. Okay, I'm going to measure 6 inches. Okay, and so on the Easy Bowmaker, it's just marked right there. So I'm going to go to the 6-inch mark. And I like to push my fabric down just to make sure that I have the measurement right. So I'm just going to kind of push that down to make sure we're right on the 6-inch mark. Now I'm going to take our ribbon back through the dowels. And when it goes through, okay, so we have it like this, we're going to twist it. Okay, because this is what seals off our loops. Okay, so right now, the side facing up is the back of the ribbon. The side facing down is our front. So I'm going to measure, again, 6 inches. And give that a little press to make sure I'm on the right marker. And then we're going to feed it through again. Okay, so right now we have our first set of loops. Now we're going to repeat this and make another set of 6-inch loops. And if you're new to the Easy Bowmaker, I will say that it does get easier with time. I had this for years, and I don't know what it was. I was watching people do it. It seemed so easy, and then every time I would try and do it, it just never seemed to go as planned. So you really do have to kind of keep at it. I feel like with bow making, it's one of those things that it seems like a challenge, and then all of a sudden one day, like, it clicks, and you're like, okay, here we go. All right, so okay, here we go. I am going to repeat and make another 6-inch loop. And I'm going to twist. So one of the things that I used to do, which was part of the issue, was I wasn't really twisting the fabric, like making that nice crisp twist, because in the end, you need to have this middle part, you know, it can't be super thick. You want it to be as thin and flat as possible. And the best way to do that is to really make sure that your ribbon is completely folded over and it's not just kind of like messy in the middle, because that's just going to make it thicker. All right, so I am going to repeat. And if you've measured accurately the first time, you don't need to keep measuring. You're just going to lay it over. All right, so I'm going to do a total of 6 loops. So we have 3 on each side, and they are all 6 inches. So I'm on my 6th loop. So how we're going to end this part of our bow is we are going to slide it through the dowels, and now we're going to kind of measure out so that we have around the same size tail. We can even it all off at the end, okay? So now we're looking at 6-inch loops with our green and white striped ribbon. And what I like to do is I started using these map tacks. Oh, this is a bad example. This is a pin. But I did start using these map tacks, like what you would put on, you know, a map if you were tracking a serial killer or if you were just planning a vacation. And so you can get them at Target, you can get them at Walmart. I really like the ones at Target better because they're smaller. The ones at Walmart are pretty, but they don't go through quite as well. All right, so now we're going to put in a contrasting color. So we're not going to use a lot of this, but I'm going to make a tail that's maybe, we'll say 28 inches. Clearly, I'm just kind of freestyling that. All right, and as we start again, okay, we're going to make one set of tails. Pull those, size them up. And now we are going to start our set of loops. So I'm going to measure up my tail again, about 28 inches. I'm going to slide it through the dowel. And when I do, I am putting the front side or the pretty side of the ribbon. It's going to be facing down. And I'm going to measure 5 inches. And if you're curious what is keeping my ribbons organized, this is called a ribbon wrangler from Garden Charm Boutique. And it is a really nice way of keeping things organized. You know, you can also have a basket, put things on the floor, all that stuff. I like to just keep things kind of like up and, you know, as neat as possible whenever I can. Because we know our workspaces can get cluttered quickly. So I love that this is like all organized. And it's also a great way to see if you like the color combo, is just to stack them up and take a look. All right, so I'm making my first 5-inch loop. I'm sliding my ribbon through the dowel, giving it that nice crisp twist. I'm going to measure 5 inches. Pat down. Okay, feeding it through. We're going to make 4 loops. So this is loop number 3. And loop number 4. And if you're unsure about pairing ribbons, this is still something that is in the works for me. We're always a work in progress. You can take one ribbon and really try and bring out the colors in it. So for me, I picked up this ribbon from TCT Crafts. And so it's got black, white, orange, yellow, green. So I thought this would pair well. I hope it's going to make it pop. I think it will. We shall see. All right, so then once we've made our 4th loop, we're going to again have our tail pretty similar and cut. Get this one tidied back up so it's out of the way. And this is also from TCT Crafts. It's very great. It's very, very great. It's extremely nice quality. It's Farrisilk, which Farrisilk is kind of like the creme de la creme. So I always am loving when some of this arrives. So what I'm going to do is, for this ribbon, you can see it's fancy. So even the back of it looks nice. So what I'm going to end up doing with the tails, and I'll show you at the end, is instead of just clipping them off, we're going to actually fold them up so that our customers can see just the level of detail and quality. All right, so I am going to make, let's say, around a 24-inch-ish loop. All right, and then I am going to make, let's see, let's do some 5-inch. So this does not want to cooperate with. This thing is very structured. Normally you do not need to take things off, but this ribbon is being fresh. Very heavy, very structured. It's going to weather very well outside. It's just giving me the business right now. And so you can see in between each layer, there's one of these discs, and the discs are what keep it from sliding around. Okay, so we have one tail that's about 24 inches. I'm going to repeat, cut it, and now we are going to start with our first loop, putting it through the dowel. I'm going to measure the 5 inches. I'm just going to lay it right over the yellow ribbon because we've already established where the 5-inch mark is. Put it through and twist. And actually, let's just do two loops. Whenever we're designing things, it's not like you exactly know what direction you're going to go in until you're actively doing it. So don't ever feel bad if you start to second guess yourself. It's really just part of the creative process. You know, and if something isn't looking exactly the way you want, I always recommend to just pull it because I feel like if it's already irking you and it already doesn't seem right, it's not going to get any better. So you don't want to get too far into a project and then have to undo everything. All right, so now we're going to go in with our last ribbon. Okay, I'm going to do a set of tails that is around 20 inches. I am so bad with spatial things, so I'm very curious what the length actually is on these. Okay, so we're gonna say they're about 20 inches. Okay, now we're gonna start with our next loop, and let me zoom you in so you can get a better picture of this. Okay, so we're gonna make our first loop, and this is gonna be 4 inches. So I'm gonna look right here. Okay. On our Easy Bowmaker, find the 4-inch mark. We're going to make one loop, put it through the dowel, and then we're going to repeat, find the 4-inch mark, get it through the dowel. And some things that I like about the Easy Bowmaker, if you're somebody that struggles with either a grip or arthritic issues, like if I use my hands all day, my hands get really tired, and one thing that really does wear them out is if I am holding on to something super tight. So for a bow this big, you know, if you have to kind of keep it in your hands the whole time, for me, it agitates it. And so with the Easy Bowmaker, obviously, you just leave it on the dowels until you're ready to pick it up. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to just spread out the loops, starting in the back, and I want to make sure that you kind of see a little bit of each fabric wherever you're looking on your bow. Separating all these guys. And you don't really need to fluff it. I know I am fluffing it. I can't help myself, but there's really no point. There's really no benefit to it. Okay, so now you're going to get ready to take this off the dowels, okay? And so you want to really push down that middle part. You want to make it as, you know, flat as you can. It's still going to be thick, but just as flat as it can be. And I'm going to have my zip tie ready to go. So you can also use a chenille stem. You can use wire. I prefer to have the zip tie because I just feel like you're kind of doing it one-handed a bit, and so it's just a little bit easier for me. So what we're going to do now is we are going to slide this off the dowel, and I'm really holding it with my pointer finger and my thumb. Okay, I'm saying a quick prayer to the bow gods that I don't let this go. If you should start taking this off the dowel and you realize that you don't have a good handle on it, or maybe there's something, you know, your loops aren't the right length, or, you know, they're not kind of tied off right, you know, you can just put it back down on the dowel. Same thing, even if you get it off the dowel and you lose your grip on it, do your best to just try and get it back down on it, and then you can kind of restart. So when this comes off the dowel, I am going to be putting this zip tie right where the indentation is. That's going to tell me where the halfway mark is. So here we go. Pray for me. Okay. and zip ties, and you hear that beautiful noise, and you know you have secured it. Okay, so I'm making that zip tie as tight as I can. And now we are going to polish off our tails. All right, so let me just make this a little bigger. All right, I mean, so you can see there's a lot, and clearly I did not do these as evenly as I thought, but I wanted to have something that makes like a big impact. Again, we're putting this on a tobacco basket. It's gonna have poppies in it. It's gonna be a lot to compete with, so I wanted to make sure that we had a bow that kind of matched its energy. All right, so I am going to first clip off the tail of our zip tie. Then I'm going to take a chenille stem and I'm going to lay it exactly over where that zip tie is. Okay, and I'm just going to give it a little twist because we're going to end up attaching it to that wooden stake. All right, and now we're going to work on our tails. So I'm going to start with our green tails. And not everything needs to be exactly the same. It's really up to you. If you kind of like it to be more of a casual look, then you could have them, you know, at different lengths. If you are super particular and you do want them all at the exact same length, you know, then now is your time to do it. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be dovetailing. So when you dovetail, you are going to, let me zoom in. This is my new thing I'm working on this week. So you're going to take your ribbon and you're going to fold it in half. Okay, so the open edges are facing this way. I'm going to take some nice sharp scissors and I'm going to cut up at an angle. Okay, and what that does is it leaves this dovetail, which is like a nice little polish. So I'm going to repeat and go through. And again, I'm going to go and cut towards the fold. So I'm going to make sure my fingers don't get in the way. Nobody needs a wreath maker with a bunch of digits missing. Let's see, repeat. And you can also just make it diagonal. You could make it straight across. I just like it to have some type of finish to it. So with the 2.5 inch, typically I like to dovetail. This also works great on gifts. So it is more than just for your wreath making. Any type of bow. All right, so this is our last green tail. Cutting up at an angle. I want to make sure you can see it. Oh, and if you should cut it and it looks like this, it just means you did it the opposite way. So not a big deal at all. You're just going to turn it around and cut it the opposite way. So I'm just doing it this way so that you can kind of see it in a closer view. Okay, so our green tails are done. Now we're going to move on to our 4 yellow tails. And I'm going to repeat. Okay, so I'm going to dovetail each of these without losing a finger. I have seen some designers that they don't even fold it. They're just able to go like to cut it. It just blows my mind. Again, the more people do things, just the better they get at it and the easier they just make it seem. Like if you look at Lori from TMI Gifts or John Marks, like it's just like like they're barely paying attention. Like it just comes so naturally to them. So that is why we practice. All right, now we're going to start with our orange tails. Okay, and these are the Farrisilk. So for these, I am going to take it and just do one quick little fold over. Okay, I don't want to waste a lot of fabric, but I want to make sure that we have it completely even and no rough edge. Okay, and then I'm going to fold it again. So it's at about an inch. Okay, give it a nice press. And we're going to repeat that. So again, just make a small fold. And then this is the end of the beginning of the roll. So actually I'm going to keep it creased where it is. Okay. Fold it up. Repeat that 2 more times. Yes, if you are new to bow making, I would love to know if you have certain challenges or parts of bow making. If you're a seasoned bow maker, something that you really love. You know, there's many different styles of bows. You know, people have all different methods to doing it. So if you have a fun fact about your bow making, I would love to hear it. All right, so our orange tails are also done. Now we're going to do our last set of tails. And so for this is 1.5 inch ribbon. I'm just going to cut this at a diagonal angle. And, you know, this is all just personal preference. You know, we all kind of come up with our own method to the madness. All right. So now we have our tails all polished, okay? Oh, she is big. And now we're going to start from the back, and we're just going to start fluffing up our loops, okay? And to do that, you're just going to put your hand in and just use your fingers to just expand it as wide as it'll go. And this is why we use wired ribbon, is because it's going to keep its form better. Even if, you know, it gets smushed, it's something that you can go back in and then reshape. So if I'm shipping a bow, I like to put tissue paper in it. That way it arrives to my customers looking the same as it did, you know, in a listing. And also it gives them a little bit of insight as to how to maybe store it off season to keep that bow looking nice. Okay, so now we're going to go in with our yellow. Lift them up. Orange. And then last with our floral. Okay, and when this ends up going on the tobacco basket, I'm sure there'll be some changes to it, but for now, this is our bow. And let's see. Yes, this is a very, very bright bow. This is going to be pretty hard to ignore. So how I'm going to attach it to the tobacco basket is, one, you could just use the chenille stems and just tie it on somewhere. For me, I like to have a stake that I can just, you know, stick in the basket exactly where I want it. So if I want it kind of inserted in between the florals or greenery, something like that, I have a little bit more control versus just tying it to the basket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my planter stake, or you can also use a floral pick, and I'm just going to wrap this around tightly. So you can also use floral wire if, you know, you don't have chenille stems or you don't want to use them. Okay, and you're just going to make this nice and snug, okay, because this is how we're going to be securing it to our design. So this is kind of part one of our tobacco basket. We are going to be doing the second half live, so you can still find it here on YouTube. So I hope you join me. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Help your girl out, and we can design together in the future. Thank you.